Welcome to the ISB show. I'm your host, Sahil, here with Roycito, I believe. There he is. And of course, everyone out there, we talk a lot about international football, international soccer, but we have to cover all of the major finals in club football. And Roy, today was a major club final featuring our hometown team. And of course, you are a diehard Galaxy fan. How are you feeling after Galaxy's 6th title?
Let me just show you, my friend.
What are we looking at? Campeones. Champions.
Where's the end? Where is the end? There it is. There it is.
So talk to me, Roy. Talk to me about your day. Talk to me about the match. Talk to me about the game. Talk to me about the season. What's going on?
The match itself was an absolute spectacle. An absolute spectacle. It was Warren G. Do you know Warren G, Sahil? You grew up listening to Warren G. And those kickbacks,
yes.
Those backyard kickbacks you used to go to. You guys would blast Warren G in the backyard, drink 40 ounces. That is who performed today to open the game and the halftime show. It was so LA. It was so incredible. Everyone was up on their seats dancing. The stadium was electric. I've been to games all over the world. I've been to Chelsea games. I've been to Manchester City game. Manchester City is not an electric environment at all, but games throughout Germany. And this was special, man. Like, you could pluck any fan from any of those teams throughout Europe, bring them to this LA Galaxy game, and they're going to say, this is incredible. What an ambiance. What a fan base. Everyone's jumping and singing and chanting the team name throughout the entire stadium. It was such a beautiful event, Sahil, and I am so thrilled to have gone. We're champions, baby, 6 times, and what a game.
We were going to talk broadly a little bit more about MLS in a second, but just briefly about the match. Galaxy started off very well, right? 2 goals very quickly. And at that point, you're thinking maybe the match, what do you think? The match is done at that point in time? And then New York gets one back.
I think it's more important to mention the situation the Galaxy was in going into this match. Their superstar player, arguably the best player in the league, and that's saying a lot considering this is a league with Mr. Lionel Messi in it. Right. So many people believe that the best player in the league, even more so than Lionel Messi, was Riqui Puig, LA Galaxy's number 10. LA Galaxy's number 10 had the game-winning assist in the semifinal in the 87th minute or something, while playing on a torn ACL for over 30 minutes. He tore his ACL like in the 62nd minute of the game, put the game-winning assist in the 87th, and played the rest of the game, and then limped off to the locker room crying after the final whistle.
Pretty incredible, right?
Yeah. Incredible. So the team played for him today. The team didn't have him today, obviously, so there was a gaping hole in the middle. Brugman, who plays incredible player. He played in Italy for a while. Hasn't had much minutes this season because of Riqui Puig, because of the rise of a young Mexican-American, Cerrillo, took his spot. But they figured it out, man. They had U.S. international Delgado. He had, 5 reps with the U.S. men's national team. Cerrillo, who probably deserves one. And Brugman was an absolute beast in the middle. Probably the best player for the Galaxy today.
You could see it, actually. The whole team was behind him. They obviously cut to Riqui Puig on the bench, right? Cheering in his suit and all that kind of stuff. Very interesting. Has some ties to the great Lionel Messi, right? Both are Barcelona products.
They know each other well. They know each other well. They both played in Barcelona. One of them ended up going on to be the best player of all time. But Riqui Puig was so hyped when he grew up in Barcelona and La Masia, when he went to Barcelona 2, when he signed for the first team, and then he had a falling out with Xavi. Xavi just didn't like a very particular part of Riqui Puig's game. It wasn't that he didn't like him as a player. He didn't like one thing that he does, the way he churns in the middle of the field, the way he darts forward. He wasn't a big fan of that. He wanted a different type of center midfielder. So he never gave him a chance. And that's where LA Galaxy pounced and got an incredible superstar, like the fact that he played half an hour on a torn ACL, man, that's
incredible.
unheard of across any sport. Nobody does that in any sport. You'll never hear it again. It's insane.
Yeah, it's quite fascinating, and I got to be honest with this franchise that I know you have supported, and obviously, you know, it's a team that I grew up supporting as well. The new kids came into town, LAFC, they got their championship, but this just shows you that, you know, some franchises, and it's true of all leagues in the world, right? There's some teams that, you know, that just they have that DNA in them, and the Galaxy again, I think, has proved that. I want to talk about the league overall now as a whole, because if you're watching this match, right, you saw a lot of very well-known international players or players that were internationals before. Marco Reus was on the field, Emil Forsberg, obviously Swedish international, on the field. You know, you saw obviously some American internationals on the field. So this comes to the question we want to talk about here now that the MLS season's wrapped, Roy, is what kind of player is suited for MLS? There's been a lot of rhetoric in the news, right, with this whole conversation about the Gio Reyna, Landon Donovan making comments about, you know, well, you should come to MLS and get playing time versus going to Europe and sitting around. So what is the correct player for MLS?
Yeah, and you have young internationals as well, like Joveljic, Serbian international. He's starting to get tons of minutes for Serbia. He's starting to get a ton of respect in Serbia as well. The difficult thing is MLS is, I would say, the one league in the world, not counting Saudi Arabia, that has changed so drastically over the past 10 years. So if you asked me this question 10 years ago, I would say this is not a good place for young Americans. This is not a good place for Americans who are not quite cutting in Europe to come back and get some minutes. This is a great place for older Europeans. Probably isn't the greatest place for young South Americans to come and try to make that springboard jump to Europe. But today, this league has changed so drastically. It has improved at such a monumental pace that it is now a very, very competitive league. We saw the data that came out recently. It's the second most attended league in the world in terms of fans going to games. Second in the world,
that's
above
incredible.
Bundesliga.
That's incredible.
It's insane, above Serie A. So it's a well-supported league. It has incredible infrastructure. They're pumping more and more money every year. The Messi impact has been massive, not only from a fan base, but forcing teams to start to bring in better players, to start to spend more money. That way they don't get embarrassed against Miami because they know every eyeball is going to be on that game. So it's become a place, I would answer that question by saying this. It's become a place that is a brilliant destination for young players who are looking to take a next step from South America, because MLS is now better than, I would say, Argentina.
Yeah.
Not yet Brazil, even though the rankings say it is better than Brazil. Who did the rankings? Opta or Octa? Opta did the rankings. It's number 9 in the world. Sure. I still say Brazil is slightly better, but better than every other South American league. So any South American who believes they should be in Europe, who believes they have the talent, should make that jump to MLS. You're seeing Peck, Ricky Puig. You're seeing so many young South Americans come and shine here and then make the move to Europe. What's our guy that we talk about all the time? Ex-Chicago Fire, John
Duran. Yeah.
Duran is a great example of that. That's the profile of player that fits best in this league, who wants to come here, shine for 2 years, make a big move to Europe, and show that, holy crap, this guy did it in MLS and now he's doing it here. There's something to be said.
But you mentioned Ricky Puig, and I think that's a good example of something I just want to touch on before we finish here. Is you know, he's Spanish international, right? Not getting look-ins for Spain anywhere close to getting look-ins, right? But does, so that's the question. He's only 25 years old, right? So, and he's as you mentioned, top player in this league. Does players like that still have to move to other leagues? Or is this now becoming good enough for people to get recognized? You know, you mentioned Joveljic, you mentioned other players. Obviously, Spain's arguably the best national team in the world, or one or two in the world. So that's a different story. Yeah. But is that still needed?
We're at a point where the answer to that question is changing. It has typically been no, that you can't just come here, play well, and expect to be called up by a top-tier national team. And then players like Thiago Almada came here, played well here, played in the World Cup. and had minutes in the World Cup and is still getting called up for the best national team in the world, Argentina.
Right.
Ricky Puig, unfortunately, plays for Spain. And Spain is stacked on stacked on stacked. So I don't think he will ever have a chance, especially now with his injury. But players like that, if he played, let's say he played for Denmark, he played for Argentina even, he would get called up, and deservedly so, and he would probably fit in with the best of them. So I would say if you ask me this question today, that is my answer. If you ask me this question in 2 years, it's going to be even stronger in that direction, because the league is growing at such a rapid pace. It's insane. It's insane how quickly this league is growing in a competitive aspect, in a quality aspect, quality of player, everything, coaching across the board.
It's incredible. It's really incredible. I think both American leagues, you talk about the NWSL and the MLS. I mean, these are becoming major players in the world game of both the women's and the men's. And I think it's just incredible. So we will finish there. For those of you enjoying these videos, please subscribe to the channel. I'll turn it over to Roy today. We don't talk about club football a lot, but today is a day where I'll give it to Roy to talk about his favorite team. Roy, take it away.
This is LA. Sing it, Sahil. My city, my home. Los Angeles, you'll never walk alone. Vamos, LA Galaxy.
Vamos,
you know
vamos,
the song,
vamos,
you almost got it.